Hoka hey Boozhoo. Mino onagoshin. Hello, good evening. And welcome back to Boozhoo, NANABOOZHOO. The podcast, the podcast about Ojibwe language and culture. Tonight, I want to talk about the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul. That's what we're calling the show tonight. Hey, Boozhoo, Wally Bear. So, okay. The dark night of the soul. 5 signs you're going through it. What is it? What are the signs you might be going through what they call the dark night of the soul? Number 1, you have an overwhelming feeling of loss, powerless, and hopelessness. I wrote that wrong. Overwhelming feelings of being lost, of being powerless, and of being hopeless. You ever feel like that? Number 2, as a sign you're going through the dark night of the soul, you're struggling against challenges, feeling exhausted physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Number 3, you have heightened awareness and self-reflection. Your mind is opening up and you're thinking about your life. You're reflecting on your life. And you have drastic changes. Number 4, drastic changes in interest and social circles. You might suddenly find yourself dumping all your friends. Breaking up with that person you should have broken up with years ago. Some people, you've been doing the same thing for years, and now suddenly in the dark night of the soul, you've lost all interest in doing that thing. Now you're really into the new thing. And number 5, you have a shift in definition of success. It's a total shift. Like I know for me, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a rock star. Or maybe a cartoonist. I wanted to be one or the other. But what I really wanted to be was like an artist, musician, performer guy. I wanted to be cool, and I wanted, I had to shift my definition of what success was. Because I never became, the new rhythm guitar player for Kiss or whatever. And I didn't become, Charles Schultz, and my comic strips never got anywhere. But you find yourself redefining what it means to be a success. The dark night of the soul. It's a transformative phase. Not a setback, but a setup for a grand comeback. Pretty soon now, I'm gonna make a comeback. During the dark night of the soul, you might find yourself maybe I should back up. What is the dark night of the soul? It's a process of stripping down to one's core for a rebirth. Right? What are we talking about here? Is it a midlife crisis? Is it some people call it an ego death. The dark night of the soul. I sometimes refer to it as being in the abyss. It's when you hit rock bottom and you're there to stay. Sometimes late at night, I want to hold you tight. Oh yeah, you got to say, 'cause you hit rock bottom and you're there to stay. Rock bottom. When the dark night of the soul Okay, I mean, man, I'm having a hard time. You know what? Hold on a second, you guys. I kind of feel like I started too abruptly. Let me say Mino Onogoshin to everybody, and then we'll get back on topic. Waliber Buju Niji, Mino Onogoshin, C. Norcross, Mr. Norcross, Miss C. I think you're a dude. I think your name is Charlie, but I might be wrong. Carson, good evening, Mino Onogoshin. And the Commodore, Mino Onogoshin, Buju. Diane. Oh, it's so nice to see you, Diane. Mino Onogoshin. And I think that's everybody. All right. You know what? Before I go any further, let me say a little prayer. I need to ask Creator to help me speak about this thing. I'm way ahead of myself. Bonjour, Gitchimanado. Hello, Great Spirit. Odapana niwi asema. Accept my tobacco. Gitchimanado. Daga. We duka wishin. Ando minawe nun minawe onagoshin. Great Spirit, please help me to speak well tonight. Or this evening. I felt inspired this morning. I thought I heard you telling me to talk about this today. So I'm kind of doing this, because of that. So please help me, do it in a good way. Miigwechka Bizandawiyeg. Thank you for listening. Apeyenge. Amen. All right. Okay. Let me back up. Oh, wow. It's a beautiful evening. Mika, what is Onagoshin? Beautiful evening. There's stars. The Wawatesi. Fireflies. Wawatesi. And crickets are chirping. I mean, it's just beautiful. I'm feeling very peaceful. But I haven't always been that peaceful. My life has been, and maybe you're like me, I know I'm not the only one who goes through this stuff. But life has been a roller coaster. And I used to think it was a roller coaster of emotion. Like I would get depressed, and then I'd get out of it. And I'd, up and down, up and down. Go get depressed, work yourself out of the depression, learn from it, grow. Then, sooner or later something triggers and I get depressed again, whatever. And, with depression, when you have the blues, it's never just the blues. It's not just depression like, oh, woe is me, I sure miss my childhood, and, or whatever. Why did my cat have to pass away? It's not just depression. When you're depressed, you also have anxiety. That's two sides of a coin. Nobody's depressed and not worried about being a failure and not having enough money to live and making mistakes and being freaking out all the time. So my life has been a roller coaster, like a lot of us. Our lives are roller coasters. And you think it's a roller coaster of emotion, but it's just, your emotions are just one part of it. What I think it is, it's a spiritual growth. As you get older, just like when you're a kid and you grow taller, and for some of us, our bellies grow bigger as we get older. I mean, not me, because, come on. I quit drinking beer. My belly is not getting bigger. But I am getting older and things are growing and changing. And one of the things that changes is your spirit, your soul. So the dark night of the soul. The Dark night of the soul. I learned about this term last spring after I had gone through it. It wasn't just a depression. I had become depressed and I was freaking out over stuff, you know. Nobody was watching our live stream and, you know. I don't know. But the dark night of the soul is like when you find yourself, you've been sinking and sinking into that abyss for a long time, and then you hit rock bottom. And as you're climbing yourself out, you might find an evening where it all falls apart. It all comes crashing down. Where nothing makes any sense anymore. Where everything you love, you can't feel it, you can't, nothing makes any sense. I was so freaking out this one night. I remember I was sitting in a chair and I felt like I was hanging on to a roller coaster and I'm crying around and stuff, you know. And what happens is all this childhood stuff comes back. And it's nothing that you haven't always known about. But your soul, what is happening is your soul is awakening. And it's kind of like your inner child. I know that sounds so stupid. But your inner child, they say, is the guardian of your authentic self, of who you really are. And who you really are is your soul. So in the dark night of the soul, there are 5 signs you're going through it. Overwhelming feelings of being lost, powerless, and hopeless. Nothing's worked out. You're freaking out. You got no power. And you got no hope. For me, I was just certain that, well, the only thing left in this life for me is utter destitution, homelessness, death in the street. Nobody loves me and nobody cares. And I, hopeless. I had no faith. I gave up my faith in God himself. I had no hope. I was like, well, prayer doesn't do jack. And my own abilities hasn't worked anything out. Hopeless. Number 2, struggling against challenges, feeling exhausted physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You've been lying around in your messy apartment, ashtrays overflowing, beer cans, cold pizza, garbage, newspaper, whatever. You haven't showered in days. Dishes in the sink. And you're sleeping all day, and then you got insomnia at night. And spiritually, you're feeling exhausted spiritually. For me, my whole life I've been trying to plead to God to save me. And then I finally was like, you know what? Fine, you're not going to save me? Well, I'm going to quit asking. All right? Heightened awareness and self-reflection. During a dark night of the soul, man. Heightened awareness. You become... It's crazy. If you've ever gone through it, man. Heightened awareness. It's like your senses of... I can hardly explain it, but you get in this altered state of consciousness. And self-reflection. You spend all day ruminating about everything. For me, I was ruminating about every chapter in my life, every relationship I ever had. You can do that if you have plenty of time to wallow in your dark night of the soul. Drastic change in interests, social circles. Yep. It's like, what am I doing here? Playing in a bar band? I hate these people and I hate this music. It's a bunch of, Uh, and then it just comes on overnight. You're like, suddenly you got no interest in that crap. Shift in definition of success. It's a brand new. For me, it was helpful when I redefined what success was to keep myself from totally giving up. They say, happy people have a life that's close to their blueprint. What they kind of wanted to write out, the plans, the blueprint plans for their life. Happiness doesn't come from just so much money and so much fame and so many girls or whatever. It's just whatever you wanted. Some people, their blueprint plans are a trailer on a lake in LaPorte with a girl from Benedict, 3 kids, a pickup, and a boat and a trailer. And if they grow up and they get all that, they're happy. Somebody else can have a mansion in Beverly Hills and be the most famous, beloved movie star, and they'll be unhappy because if what they really wanted was a trailer by a lake and a nice husband or wife and kids, If it doesn't match your blueprint, you're going to be miserable. Well, I had a blueprint. And my blueprint was kind of sketchy. I definitely had dreams. I had childhood dreams and young adult dreams and middle-aged guy dreams of becoming somebody. In my mind, I had this creative idea. And there was stuff I loved to do. And I wanted to do the stuff I loved to do. And I wanted to get good at it. And I wanted to support myself and be free to do and be who I was. Well, I knew that my blueprint wasn't, I want to be a person who's never feels like he won anything, like nothing ever works out. He never got the girl. He never made any money. He didn't, everything I ever tried failed. Every band I ever tried, every recording I ever did, every relationship before Natasha, of course. All my dreams came true when Natasha came in my life. But before Natasha, none of my relationships ever worked out. But I got some good advice. They're like, redraw that blueprint and see if how close your life actually is to the blueprint. Well, I looked at that blueprint and I went, you know what? My blueprint didn't look like Paul Stanley's life. I didn't want to fly around the world and have a mansion in Beverly Hills and be at, county fairs, rocking and rolling all night and partying every day. I didn't want any of that. But I wanted to play guitar and sing and tell jokes and feel cool and have a cool place to live in, not have to worry about a bunch of stuff, And little by little, I started piecing together, redefining what was success. And during the dark night of the soul, I went, you know what? You're not working a job you hate. You have a house you love. You're doing what you love to do. You have people who appreciate what you do. I never had a dollar sign of like how much money I would need to make before I'd be satisfied. I knew I didn't need to be a millionaire or anything. I just wanted not to worry about it every day. And I was worrying about it every day. Until the dark night of the soul. I redefined that crap. Transformative phase. You're changing. You're like a butterfly. It's a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. That's what the dark night of the soul is. Man. It's a process of stripping down to one's core for a rebirth. No one shall enter the kingdom of heaven without first being reborn. Jesus said that, you guys. Don't take it from me. You got to be reborn. What's that mean? Well, you have to die to who you used to be. You gotta, for me, I had to die to who I used to be. I took down those old pictures. I threw away my old photo albums. The old trophies from high school speech, that's not who I am anymore. That was a kid. I was pretty fond of. But, that's, you strip down to who you were. Reevaluating definitions of success, achieving a milestone, but feeling empty and questioning the path. I remember when I finally got to be a singer in a band. And, I was at a bar and we had been singing I had been singing. Those other guys were just playing their instruments. But I was singing and playing guitar for 4 hours. And people had long since stopped listening. People were just well drunk. You get one or two people dancing. It's 12:30 at night. And I'm like, what am I doing? I thought this would be so fun. And it's very unfulfilling. Recognizing societal and familiar expectations versus authentic desires. How about this? Are you doing something just because it's expected of you? It's always been expected of you. It's just who your family thought you were, told you you were. Sometimes people can have like successful lives by everyone else's standards. Oh, look at me. I went and I got a PhD and I'm teaching at Harvard University. But you don't got a man. You don't have any kids. You got all this money accumulating in the bank. But when you go on vacation, you got to go by yourself because you got no friends, What you really want is this other thing. So you reevaluate the expectations. People always expected you to just keep climbing that ladder. Well, maybe you should quit. Go get a regular person job. Go get a regular Joe job. Go meet a nice, start a family. Understanding worth is not based on accomplishments, but on inherent value. I've never understood how these rock stars can just keep touring. They're just constantly, hey, guess what? We won another award. Okay, everybody, let's all fly to Las Vegas or wherever the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is. We're going, a constant parade and campaign effort to win the approval and be successful by whatever standard. Well, maybe eventually you kind of think about inherent value. Your life. Did you do what you wanted? Whatever. Reawakening of the inner child. I know this sounds so new agey and so stupid, but that's what happened to me. I didn't even think I had lost touch with my inner child. Of all people in the world, you would think, I think most people think, oh, that guy has no problem with being childlike. Isn't that Ernie and Bert I'm watching? No. You reconnect with one's inner child for authenticity and understanding. Like I said before, your inner child is the gatekeeper, the guardian of your authentic self, who you really, your real nature. Everybody at one time was a sweet little kid. You know, I bet you if you guys saw Donald Trump when he was 5, you'd go, oh, what a sweetheart. And he was probably really sweet. Hitler was probably a really cute child. You know, that's your authentic self. A lot of us along our path, we become something that's unrecognizable to that child we used to be. You know, I mean, yeah, we don't poop our pants anymore, but did we really improve as people? You know, the dark night of the soul will have you re-examining all that. You acknowledge and validating the inner child's desires, dreams, and vulnerabilities. The inner child, you know, when you started this path, you were a kid. Remember? Dark night of the soul will take that little inner child will be smacked right in your face. Rediscovering the core of one's being. This is who you really are. The core of your being. It's not like you're transforming. I mean, it's not. How does this work? It's who you've always been in a way, but you've never been that person before. Paradoxical sense of freedom. A paradox is when it's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's confusing opposites. It's a paradox. You have this sense of freedom. You're finding a unique type of freedom within the upheaval of the dark night experience. A unique type of freedom. There comes a point when you got nothing left to lose. You go, well, you know, when you hit rock bottom, suddenly it just doesn't matter. Nothing matters. If you don't just step out and quit, you get this sense of freedom. Well, I can do whatever I want. Nothing can hurt me now. Trusting in the transformative process and surrendering to the flow of life. That's what it is. It's letting go. You've been trying to swim against the stream so hard, so long. Diane, you and I used to talk about this. Surrendering and going with the flow. You know, for those of us who are like artists and non-conformists, you never want to go with the flow. You think that makes you feel like conformity, like society is going to squash your spirit or whatever if you go with the flow. But sometimes you got to trust in the process. Do you really believe God is working in your life? Do you really believe your life has a meaning? Yes, it does. It's about your soul awakening. You know, it's about opening the third eye, the Kundalini. You know, I mean, the Dalai Lama is so full of crap. All of Buddhism is just so stupid because they make it sound like, oh, one day enlightenment. If you just sit and do nothing and get fat and have flabby arms and never learn English well enough that anybody can understand you, then you'll no longer be depressed. Well, yeah, the dark night of the soul is what enlightenment is. It doesn't get any more enlightened than after the dark night of the soul. It's always darkest before the enlightenment. But you trust in it, in the process, and you surrender. You let go and let the flow, the stream of life carry you to where you're supposed to be. That's what you want to do. Viewing it as a spiritual detox, cleansing and preparing for a more aligned path. It's a spiritual detox. You know, detox, you know, it's a spiritual diarrhea. It's spiritually throwing up. You've been on this path for so long and you've taken in so much darkness and abuse and confusion, and it's just rocked your world to such a extent that you became so depressed and so lost. Well, the dark night of the soul is that sense of freedom. It's you know, this is the crazy thing too, you guys. I mean, it doesn't happen. It doesn't just turn on and turn off instantly. It took me days to kind of come down out of the dark night of the soul. And it took me a few weeks. Now that I look back on it, I could see it coming. I could feel that something was in the air. You know, I can feel it coming in the air tonight. But the dark night of the soul, if you know, maybe you don't know that you're going through it. You're going to be okay. So, you know, as an artist, we always kind of operate in inspiration. And they say inspiration means being in spirit, in manadu. Get your manadu. But when you're in alignment with the spirit, with the great spirit, that's where inspiration comes from. So, you know, if you ever like wrote a cool poem or a song or drew a cool picture and it kind of works out and you go, oh, you know, that's even better than I would have done. You got inspired. The spirit worked through you. Well, this morning, I just had one of those, the spirit working through me. And I didn't hear a voice, you know. I never heard a voice of Gitchi Manadu. But I hear him in that kind of inspiring way. That itch to just do something. I don't know why, but I felt inspired to talk about the dark night of the soul. And to be kind of, I don't know, not vulnerable, I guess, but honest with you guys about what I've gone through. Any of you guys ever went through the dark night of the soul? And this has been the dark night of the soul with your old Uncle NANABOOZHOO. Hang in there. It will get better. Miigwech, get your manadu. Alright. Oh, you crickets are maddening. You know, you talked all through my little lecture on the dark night of the soul. I don't think one of you guys even listened. And you fireflies are no better. Yeah. Bunch of bugs. Boop, 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 boop. Bleep, bleep. Bleep, bleep. Boozhoo. Hey, sweetie. Well, hi, NANABOOZHOO. What are you doing? I'm outside. I was talking about the dark night of the soul. Oh, cool. You want to come in? Yeah. All right, hang on. I'm going to scan for your coordinates. All right. And lock it in on your coordinates. All right. And that's 1 to teleport. Make it so, number 1. No. Hey, baby doll. Well, hi. How you doing? I'm doing great. How'd the talk go? I think it went pretty well. Seems like there's a lot of people here. I saw Diane's here. Yep. Hey, Boozhoo, Diane. How's it going? Yeah, the Commodore's back. Boozhoo, Commodore. Mino Onagoshin. Mino Onagoshin. Good evening, Commodore. And chronic exhaustion. Boozhoo chronic exhaustion. Okay, Mino Onagoshin. Chronic exhaustion. Chronic exhaustion says, those moments are so precious. The dark night of the soul moments. Yeah. Oh, Jilly Hearth is here, sweetie. Hoka, hey, Boozhoo, Jilly. Mino Onagoshin, it's nice to see you. We're doing a weird evening live stream. Yeah. Hey, Michael, what are you doing here? Not much. Just hanging out. Should we play one of your songs? Yeah, sure. Here's a song Michael Lyons wrote. This song is... Oh, you didn't write this. This song was written by Willie Nelson. Oh, is this always on your mind? Always on my mind? Yeah. I love this song. I remember my grandma used to always say this was her favorite song. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Something about it. I always thought it had something to do with the fact my grandpa never wrote when he was away at the war for 3 years. Well, she had my dad. Really? Yeah. But this is always on my mind. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. And if I made you feel second best, girl, I'm sorry I was blind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Maybe I didn't hold you all those lonely, lonely nights. I guess I never told you that I'm so happy that you're mine. And little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. But you were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Tell me that your sweet love hasn't died. And give me one more chance to keep you satisfied. I'll keep you satisfied. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Lyons, the rock star cartoonist. Nice job, buddy. Hey, thanks. For more music like that, only written by Michael. Not really like that, but Michael just released his, in a way, first album. Rockstar Cartoonist is available for sale at the Patreon page, $20. And I have no idea what you get. If it's just a download, and $20 seems really steep. Yeah, no kidding. Or you can watch it for free on YouTube. Rockstar Cartoonist. A whole album of songs by Michael Lyons. Anyway, speaking of Rockstar Cartoonist, because the whole thing with Michael, and the whole point of this show and began because Michael Lyons was illustrating cartoons in Ojibwe, like gibberish, like this. Mino dibekad wagosh, Mino dibekad wagosh. Good evening, fox. You're a fox, sweetie. Get out of here. And the fox is saying, Bonjour, misajidamu, misajidamu. Now, an ajidamu is a squirrel, but it's a red squirrel. A misajidamu is a gray squirrel. Oh, gibberish. And the little cutie story is also part of this. Anyway, I thought this was cool. Yeah, I love Michael's cartoons. Oh, gibberish. I don't know if people can even see that. Mino dibekad wagosh. Bonjour, misa jidamu. And then there's some fireflies there. Wawatesi. Wawatesi. Wawatesi is a firefly. Hey, a little graphic. Yep. I don't have the text though. You're just going to take my word for it. Anyway. Hey, sweetie. Yeah? You got a call on line 2. Line 2? I wonder who this could be. Bonjour. Welcome to the show. You're on the air. Yeah. NANABOOZHOO. This is Gene Simmons of KISS. Ooh, yeah! Well, all right. Hey, Gene Simmons. Michael, it's Gene Simmons. Hey, Gene. How you doing, Mike? I really do appreciate your music. It's all right. Ooh, yeah! Hey, thanks, Gene. What can I do for you, Gene? Well, you know, I know something about the dark night of the soul because I'm a creature of the night. Ooh, yeah! Well, all right. Okay, you're a creature. Oh, that was one of your albums. Yeah, that's right. You know, KISS is currently we're doing the end of the road tour. How do you say end of the road in Ojibwe? Oh, that's an interesting question. End of the road in Ojibwe is Gabe Gona. Gabe Gona. Or if you're from LaPorte, Minnesota, you would pronounce it Cabacona. Cabacona? You mean like the lake or Cabacona Corners? Yeah, nobody remembers Cabacona Corners. They redid the road. What's Cabacona Corners? Cabacona Corners used to be that part of the road between LaPorte and Bemidji that would just take hard right turns for no good reason. When I was a kid, they called that Cabacona Corners because it went over the Cabacona Creek that fed into Cabacona Lake. But the word Cabacona isn't even, it's supposed to be Gabe Gona. Gabe means to the end, and then Gana, Kana with a K, Kana, Gabe Kana, is a road. End of the road, Gabe Kana. So how is the tour going? Well, it's all right. You know, we rock and roll all night. We were just in Norway, and now we're in the land down under. We're in Australia. We're going to be rocking and rolling down there. Oh, yeah! Yeah, okay. Aren't you sick of it yet? Sick of it? No, man. I'm the king of the nighttime world. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, come on. The fire breathing. You're not breathing fire, by the way. You're spitting gasoline or whatever. Something flammable. You're essentially the rock star equivalent of a can of Raid and a lighter. No, man. That's the highlight of the show. The fans, they demand it. No, we don't. We've never cared about fire breathing and the blood spitting What is that supposed to be anyway? Why are you throwing up fake blood as part of the bass solo on God of Thunder? Well, 'cause I'm the demon of rock and roll. And when I'm up there, I feel like a god. And so I get carried away, and it's the demon that, spits up blood. Ooh, yeah! Well, all right. No, see, it's stupid. If anything, you should have dyed your hair blonde, dressed up like Thor with a cape and all that, and then did that song. Even in the makeup, especially in the makeup. That would be so stupid. No, I don't care. But you're gonna be glad when you can finally retire? Well, I'm going to miss the road. I'm going to miss the fans most of all. Man, he just never quits. And if you want to get tickets, go to kissonline.com and you can get backstage passes, meet the band. We're going to have a VIP room where you can listen to an unplugged set, all for the low, low price of $2,000. See, that's another stupid thing. They sell all this backstage stuff, but then a day later, somebody just posts the video online, and it's just, you can tell it's not worth it. Hey, let me go get a picture taken. I'll stand in a line with these people and meet Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, and those two other guys who weren't really in Kiss, dressed up as Gene and Ace and Peter. And then, I don't know, it seems stupid. You coming to our show? Nah, sorry, Gene. I'm done with Kiss shows. I mean, I still love you guys, but, well, that's too bad. Well, listen, I better get going. How do you say goodbye in Ojibwe? Well, we don't really say goodbye, Gene. I know I'll see you again. So we say, Gigawabamin, Minawa. Gigawabamin, Minawa, NANABOOZHOO. Ooh, yeah! Well, all right. What a weirdo. Yeah, he is. I can't believe he's your role model. He is not my role model. I don't know, man. You certainly followed his career over the years. Yeah, that does make him my role model. Want to get up here, sweetie? Well, sure. I'd love to get up there. All right. I'm going to let Natasha take over the show. Here's another song by the Rockstar Cartoonist. This one is an old Bowie tune. I love this tune. This is Come and Buy My Toys. Smiling girls and rosy boys, come and buy my little toys. Monkeys made of gingerbread and sugar horses painted red. Richmond's children running fast, their fathers dressed in holes. Golden hair and mud of many acres on their shoes. Gazing eyes running wild past the stocks and over stiles. Kiss the window, merry child, come and buy my toys. Come and buy my toys. Come and buy my toys. You watched your father plow the fields with a ram's horn, and sowed it white with peppercorn, unfurled with a bramble thorn. Now your watching's over, you must play with girls and boys. Leave the parsley on the stool, but come and buy my toys. Come and buy my toys. Come and buy my toys. Buy my toys. Come and buy my toys. You shall own a cambric your father's land. But now you will play in the market square until you become a man. Come and buy my toys. Come and buy my toys. Come and buy my toys. Michael Lyons, the rock star cartoonist. Oh, that was really good, dude. Hey, thanks. Hey, bonjour, kakira aoya. Natasha Ninjanikas. Natasha's my name. And I'm so happy to be here. Neiman Wyndham. G-A-I-N. Omanun Goom. You know what's great about our show? What's that? If I have nothing to say, I can just pretend to be teaching Ojibwe. Just repeat what I just said in English. And, oh, today is Ojibwe word of the day. And it doesn't really matter. So, what's going on? Nothing. How you guys doing? Chronic Exhaustion wants to know, is the album on Spotify, by the way? Is the album on Spotify yet, Michael? No, I can't figure out Spotify. What do you mean you can't figure it out? Well, I never watch it. And do you have to pay for it? I think I don't know. There might be something have to do with, do you have to have an iPhone to get on Spotify? And yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm a little confused by it. But no, it's not on Spotify yet then, huh? Nope, not yet. But I don't even understand why anybody would buy music. I mean, I understood why in the 80s, but if you can get it for free, why do you need to buy it? Don't look at me. I'm I'm old. I don't get it. Come and buy my toys. Having said that, if you'd like to support our show and pay for this free thing we give you, click the links in the description box. We've got a GoFundMe campaign where we've raised over $6,600 towards our $8,000 goal. So click the link if you'd like to contribute. When we go on the road, we're all out of books right now. And when we go on the road, we like to give out these Ojibwe words and phrases. Just, here's another thing you can buy on Amazon, or if you come to one of our shows, we'll just give it to you. But Ojibwe words and phrases are just Ojibwe words and phrases that we've taught on the show. And it's got some pictures and stuff. Some cartoons from the Rockstar cartoonist. But what? I like the video we did for the update. Oh yeah, that was cool. Michael was talking about how far we've come, where we've been. Do we still have the, yeah. One last time. Oh no, it's... Okay. Oh, that's not it. That was scary. Oh, I can't even find the Paul Stanley commercial anymore. No. I was going to play the Paul Stanley Folgers commercial. Since we're going to get a copyright for the Willie Nelson song anyway. Yeah. It's not a copyright strike. They just send us an email saying, hey, you know that 25 cents you're going to make from this video? We're going to send 3 cents of it to Willie Nelson's account. Because that's his song, not yours, young lady. So we can support our cousin. Support your cousins. Come on. You got a little Julia? Hey, Nietzsche. Look out if you're ever downtown, you know, and you know, you see one of the street people say, hey, Nietzsche. They might want a cigarette or money. Only if you don't recognize them. They get real friendly and real familiar real quick when they want to borrow some money and borrow. But I don't know. La-dee-da. Oh, hey. Hey, sweetie. Yeah? We got a call on line 2. Line 2? I wonder who this could be. Boozhoo! Caller, welcome to the Boozhoo NANABOOZHOO podcast. You're on the air. Hello. Yeah, he was talking about the dark night of the soul. Yeah, exactly. What's he saying? What do you mean? I can't understand a word he's saying. NANABOOZHOO, that's His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Show some respect. I don't respect him. He's saying, he was talking about the dark night of the soul and enlightenment. And that, it's the whole thing he understands. Yeah, have you been enlightened, Dalai Lama? That's racist. What do you say? I can't even not mention it. Well, in America, we frown on old men asking children to suck their tongues, you pervert. Yeah, loving kindness, my ass. Anyway, I gotta go, man. What, you want to learn an Ojibwe word? Well, the Ojibwe word of the day. We don't have one. Here we go. Hello, gray squirrel. How can I pull it down? Boozhoo, misa jidamu. And Mino Deepakad, Wagosh. Good evening, or good night. Good evening. Actually, that means good night. Michael, you screwed that up. Oh, doggone it. It's good night. And I said good night, sir. I'm going to bid you a good night, Dalai Lama. I don't really appreciate the tongue-sucking thing. Amino Debakad. Good night. Dalai Lama. Wow, what a spiritual man. All right. I want to rock and roll all night. And party every day. I want to rock and roll all night. And party every day. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Miigwech, Gabisan Dawieg. And thank you for watching Boozhoo NANABOOZHOO. The podcast with its own theme music, written by Michael Lyons. Thank you for watching Boozhoo NANABOOZHOO, the podcast about Ojibwe language and culture. My name is Natasha. This is NANABOOZHOO. Okay, miigwech. That over there is Michael Lyons. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. And I will see you again. GOFUNDME. Minoa. Hoa. Oh, sweetie, that's really good coffee. That's really good black medicine water. You like your makare mashkiki wabu, darling? I do. All right, fellas. I think that's a pretty good show. How do we get out of here now? And live stream.